Welcome back to the Jungle Gardeners. It is the end of May. It's May 22nd. It's Southwest Florida. This time of year we should be starting our rainy season, so the days will be warm and then they get cooled down by afternoon thunderstorms, which used to be pretty reliable. Almost 100% of the time you'd be getting a daily afternoon thunderstorm to really cool things off before it heated up the next day, but that's not happening yet. Our dry season is delayed, our wet season is delayed, which sucks because that's my favorite time, is the thunderstorm. So instead it's just been very hot and dry. Grass is getting crunchy. It's extremely hot, guys. I didn't do a video this weekend because I almost died of heat stroke working in the garden for a few hours. Even with hour-long hydration breaks, you can hydrate for an hour and then 20 minutes of working in that heat and humidity as high as it was. I had some heat exhaustion. I had to spend the rest of the day just recovering on the couch. Anyway, so a quick evening video. I'm covering tomatoes. I already talked to you guys in the last video about tomatoes and how they're on their way out this time of year. Even the Everglades cherry tomatoes that can tolerate more than other tomatoes are on their way out. So that's what you see here, this sad vines of tomatoes. And while they look wilty and you might think we're not watering enough, they get watered plenty. What is actually happening, two things. We've got leaf-footed bugs and stink bugs coming and feeding on the fruit and the leaves to some extent, but also we have spider mites. They like hot, dry weather, and it's been hot and dry, so they're very happy. I'll show you some here in a minute. There's a young leaf-footed bug on that fruit. But the spider mites have gotten pretty bad here. That's the spider mites. You can see them moving about. That's how heavy the population has gotten on these tomatoes. You can see that webbing on the plant. The webbing covering the plant is not from spiders, it's from spider mites, which are not an insect. They have 8 legs, so they actually are an arachnid. They're not a spider, but they are a mite that has spider-like qualities in terms of making webs. So the plants are not doing well. If we had reliable afternoon rains, that does usually help to keep mite populations down. They don't like those big fat raindrops. They will get washed off the plant to some extent, but we haven't had that. So you can see the plant is very stressed. It's wilting, covered in webs, and those leaves are chlorotic. All that chlorotic, that white speckling, is from the spider mites feeding on them. So once you see the spider mites show up in these numbers, it's not even worth it to spray your plant. It's just time to let it go. It's going to be too hard to keep these tomatoes protected from pests and diseases with this temperature. So this time of year, you just got to let the tomatoes go. So that's what we're going to do. We're letting the spider mites do their thing, letting the tomatoes go for the season. And for anyone who's curious, here's an up-close view of the spider mites and their activity. You can see them running around on their little spider mite superhighway. So those are spider mites, what they look like under magnification. And they are tearing up these tomatoes. Anyway, thank you all for joining me, and remember, if you see spider mites, tomato season is over, and that doesn't mean you're a bad gardener. It just means sometimes crap happens and you got to deal with it. All right, enjoy the summer, gardeners.